Hi everyone, Daniel here from our division, and today I'm going to cover something a bit different, which is the difference between your returning visitors to your new visitors, but in the context of brand recognition. And what do I mean by that? In order for me to explain that, let me just minimize myself here and jump into one of our clients' account that you can see. This is a client's account that I have pulled in the data for the last 3 months, take or give. And I've put and compared the new visitors versus the returning visitors, but also allowing us to see the amount of conversions, the goal conversions that this client actually had on their website. Just before I continue, just to clarify, a conversion or a goal, as we call them, would be anything that we have set up in advance that will indicate that somebody achieved a goal on the website. That might be a phone call, that might be a form that was filled, like a valuation form, or a contact us form, etc. on the website itself. You can see that for that specific client, for the last 3 months, they had a total of about 8,000 goals being filled out. Now, what's fascinating to see here is actually the split between all the goals that were completed between those new visitors. So those are people who arrived and right there in their first instant of arriving to the website, meaning they have arrived. You could see here that they have visited approximately 3 pages on arrival to the site, and then they ended up completing a goal, filling out the form or picking up the phone and calling. And you can see that that totals at about 4,100 or 4,200 people altogether who completed a goal. This means at 22%, it means that we had about 1 in every 5 people actually ending up arriving to the site and then completing a goal. That's all nice and good to see. However, when we look at the returning visitors, the picture seems a bit different and actually much more interesting. So returning visitors, those people who arrived to your website for the first time, they've spent the time and they left. At that point, they've been around the net, they've been maybe rummaging around, maybe shopping around, and at some point decided to come back to your website and then completing a goal, filling out the form or picking up the phone and calling the agency. Now we can see here in this case that we had some 3,800 conversions, goals completed, out of all of the returning visitors that came back. And what's interesting to see about that is that actually the percentage of the completed conversion actually jumped up. So out of every 2 people, 1 has converted. You know, over 50% conversion rate, which is absolutely brilliant. Now, what's interesting for us to learn about that, and for you if you're watching this now, is that this can definitely be an indicator that when your brand is well being presented online, when you make sure that you have the correct sequences in place, nurturing in place, remarketing banners in place, where your brand is out there and everybody can see it, it means that when somebody arrives to your website and not necessarily deciding to take the action right there and then, and they go and they venture elsewhere on the net, and they go and they read the Times or the Guardian or an article on the BBC, or they go on Facebook or Instagram or you name it, and your brand continue to chase them, it means that subconsciously and consciously they will remember your brand and they will feel a bit more comfortable to re-engage with your brand and come back. And when they come back to your brand, and provided that your website is comfortable for them to use, it's user-friendly, both on mobile, both on desktop, they come back and they convert. And the proof is in the pudding, because we can see here not only that almost 50% of all conversions over the last 3 months came from returning visitors, but more importantly, we see that out of every 2 people who arrived to the site, 1 has actually converted. And I think that this is really, really interesting to see. People didn't need to think too much. They came, they were focused, they knew the brand, they felt comfortable, and they converted. And I think this is just one way for anyone to see and to very quickly understand the engagement that people interact, or the engagement people actually do with your website and how they do it with your website, from our returning visitors and new visitors, that can indicate to you how good or bad of a job you do with making sure that your brand is out there and creating authority and confidence with the users that will hopefully end up coming and converting on your website. So this was just a short video just to give you an an insight into how you can actually look at returning visitors versus new visitors and see if this actually works out for your brand.